CJBQ, Belleville, and Trenton.
Pardon me, why did you do that?
Huh? Oh, this? Well, you see, I listen all the time to CJBQ radio, and believe me, it's the only station that puts in your listening.
Oh, yeah!
Morning, Miss Finstead. I feel great. I've been listening to CJBQ radio, and I tell you, I feel like a new man. Ladies, please, I've told you 1,000 times, don't...
But, Mr. Fipple, we listen to CJBQ radio wherever we go.
Oh, yeah!
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jim Wright. I've known Lee for more than 50 years. As a youngster, I had a passion for radio. No idea where it came from. But at the age of 16, with the blessing and support of Miles Morton, I was hired at CJBQ as a new staff part-timer. Now, on the very first day of work back in the 60s, I was introduced to my new boss, the program director, Lee Jourard. I remember Lee looking at me, and I mentally surmised he must be saying to himself, "What have I got here?" Well, certainly he had a challenge to train someone who loved radio but knew absolutely nothing about it, and also someone who had only been a paper boy and a snack bar attendant, never ever having had a real job with responsibilities in a role. I can honestly say that Lee, as I later got the nerve to call him, not only taught me about radio, but also provided me with the basics of a work ethic. He insisted on timeliness, never be late for work, and never be in a rush to leave. He taught me about determination and diligence, about working together as a team, about doing my best and learning from my mistakes. He told me to question everything until I understood, and he encouraged me to engage in discussions and to speak up if I thought I had worthwhile contributions to make. In terms of radio, he taught me to be myself, to be honest, to be genuine, lest the audience conclude I was simply an egotistical fake. He taught me to respect CJBQ sponsors and clients, for without them, there would be no radio station. And he taught me to honor those who employed me, for without them, I would have no job. He also encouraged me to do well at school, and often quizzed me about my progress and my report cards, and was ever so insistent that I pursue a higher level of education. So you see, he really was not just a supervisor, but in hindsight, my mentor, who, other than my parents, provided me with a set of values and life skills that many or most people, regrettably, never have the opportunity to learn. I distinctly remember learning to operate the equipment in the main control room, of course, under Lee's tutelage. And in one case, I was in the control room alone while Lee was doing his announcing from a separate booth. He was giving me various hand signals when he wanted something done. Now, on one occasion, Lee was making a gesture that looked like someone was moving their thumb up and down as though they were trying to light a lighter. He didn't do it just once, but twice, 3, 4, and many more times. Well, I was stumped. I didn't know what to do. I could see Lee's face becoming red, furrows appeared on his brow, exasperation was becoming evident in his voice, and finally on the air, he actually had to tell me what he wanted done. Well, I subsequently realized this was Lee's own invented gesture, and it was Lee's indication that I should push a button on the machine that played commercials. Nothing was said after that show, nor was the error ever mentioned again. On a different occasion, when walking down the hall and passing by Lee, I knew he was rather upset because he was kind of stomping his feet as he walked by and wouldn't even look at me. As we passed, while staring straight ahead, and in kind of a stern and gruff voice, he loudly said, "There's no cow in Moscow." You see, it was a pronunciation mistake. I had just been on the air saying Moscow and not Moscow. Well, let me tell you, I've never made that mistake again. And incidentally, a few days later, I found a manual in my mail slot, a CBC guide to enunciation and pronunciation. I still have that manual to this very day. Is it any wonder I loved Lee? Throughout the past several years, I ran into Lee on various occasions, and once we bumped into each other on a street corner in downtown Orillia. We stood there visiting like there had been no absence between us. Lee was always quick to tell me what was happening with his family members, telling stories and reminiscing, and always interspersed with his infectious laugh. If you knew Lee, can't you just hear that laugh right now?